graduated. Yeah, it is private. Sorry about that. And this is Roscoe saying Happy Valentine's Day. He has a little virtual Valentine for you, so you can enjoy your virtual Valentines from Roscoe. Okay, I'm going to let him go now because he got some flea medicine. He doesn't have fleas, but the medicine is always, it's a bit smelly, so he's been banned. Well, happy Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about teaching with Instagram and give you some resources and ideas. Now, all of this is recorded, and we're here every Friday. It's free, thanks to American TESOL. And the really great thing about it is that you also get a certificate. So we actually, American TESOL does teach courses, and they have graduate credit as well. So when you get a certificate, it's actually pretty legit. So feel free to go to the bit.ly address and download your certificate. You'll also find all of the resources. I just gave you the listly with all the bookmarks, including the presentation. Now, I'm going to warn you because I know some of you are from different age groups. Now, it's very useful for professional development, but the other one as well is it's for you can use it with your students. So I'm going to focus on that. But there's a rule there. Your students have to be 13 years old in order to be able to have an Instagram account. So if you work with younger ages, what you can do is you can take the pictures, or they can take pictures and upload it to your Instagram account. So you can make like a class Instagram account. And if they do that, then you can always post for them, and it'll be under one account. But they would all have to upload to your account. So that is the exception with that. You can do that. If you aren't familiar with Instagram, Instagram is a mobile app. It can be in your mobile. It can also be on any Android, or it can be also on your iPad. In different types, it's an app, but it isn't available online in the browser. You can view it from your computer, but you can't actually take any pictures with it. So that's one thing that's important to know. That's a good question. So Peggy says, would the same thing be true if parents create an account? That's true. A parent can, so the student can post with the parent's account. So that's a good idea. Thanks, Peggy. Now, the slides that I'm showing you today are, many of them are the students that I worked with, and one of the things we love to do is we love to take pictures. And that's one of the easiest things that you can do with a mobile device when you're teaching with one. With Instagram, one of the great things about it is when you download the app, you can have it available offline. So the filters will work, the camera will work, and so also you can record a video and you can give it some really nice effects. Like you can see my picture. My picture, I put an effect on it when I was using Instagram. So this is definitely something that you can do with Instagram. It makes things look very professional and cool. They have a bunch of filters, and it's really simple to use. It doesn't take a lot of time to learn how to use Instagram. And that's one of the benefits about using Instagram as well. I really love that quote because one of the reasons why I think it's really important for students to be able to work with a camera and work with images is because it really speaks to their heart and mind, but it gives them the freedom to be very creative. And also, it transforms the learning. So normally, we might learn, or traditionally, inside a classroom with tools like a textbook, or on the chalkboard, or even on a white screen, or even an LCD projector computer. The difference is that when you take a camera, then what you're forced to do is you're forced to look and really focus on an object. That can be very, very useful for learning. You get to be able to question it and see it in a different way. So those are some of the things that I want to talk about as well. It transforms their perspective. And with students, it's very difficult to kind of get them to focus in, and also to be able to focus and also observe what's going on around them. Often they won't stop and smell the roses, like that famous saying goes. So now with Instagram, you can do many different types of photos, and you can do video too, which is one of the newer features that they just had as well. So you have a couple of options with Instagram. Instagram, first of all, is one of the most famous social networks for teens. Teens use that much more than they use Facebook. And another very famous social network that came about with that is Vine. And Vine is similar to Facebook, to Instagram. So you can use many of the ideas today and apply them to Vine. I'll tell you the differences in a second. And both are free apps, by the way, so you don't pay for this. You have unlimited image uploads, so they're never going to tell you, hey, your limit's up, you have 1 billion photos. Well, they might if you take 1 billion photos, but I think that would be very, very difficult. Yes, I did say Vine. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. I have a sore throat, and I've been eating a throat lozenge, so my pronunciation isn't too great today. Oh, no problem. So you get unlimited uploads. You get 15-second videos. Now, that's one of the most important differences between Vine. Vine actually allows video first. And what Vine does is it allows 6 seconds. Can you imagine trying to make a 6-second video? I tried the 15 seconds. It's very difficult to do these things, but it's allowed so much. They say 5 minutes of fame, but now in Vine and Instagram, you can have 6 seconds of fame, and there are millions and millions of people doing this and following each other and getting famous. One of my favorite Vine, thanks Peggy for sharing the Vine. One of my favorite, and you should check it out on Vine, you can even just YouTube it. It's called Bat Dad, and it's about this dad, and for 6 seconds he does these 6-second videos, clips of him dressed as Batman, and he kind of terrorizes his kids, so it's really funny. So I think that's many different people, parents, it's a part of the rituals of our lives, and that's one of the major themes that I'm saying in a lot of my keynotes this year and presentations. Every day, millions of people share the narratives of their lives through Instagram, through photos, through short video clips, and they want feedback from it. They communicate this way. They connect this way. They like it. They repost it. They reblog it. They add a comment. So this takes place every day, and unfortunately, it hasn't taken place inside the classroom. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do different types of, thank you, Peggy, for sharing Baghdad. That's why I want to share different types of ways that you can use specific apps this year. So we talked about Pinterest earlier, and then Vine and also Instagram. If you teach language learners, or even if you teach science or math, these are not subjects that students readily are excited about. In fact, a lot of students are like, oh no, I have to go to this class again. So by using these tools, we can help our learners become engaged and motivated. They love to take pictures, and one of the things they really like about Instagram is it makes it look super professional. Like you can have really cool effects. And it's very easy, fast, and simple to do. And the videos, so I've been making videos on Instagram, 15 seconds, and they look very, very professional as well. And there's a lot you can say. One of the great things about having a really short video is a lot of people are going to see it. But number two, it takes a lot of practice to do that. And if your students are practicing again and again, if you're a language teacher like I am, that's very important. I want them to keep practicing that video. It also helps them summarize and make a main point, which is very difficult to do in writing and in speaking. So I think it's really important, these 15-second clips, because it gets them to focus on just one thing or topic. You can have things like you can blur it. You can also add different frames. You can have hashtags. You do have to be 13. You can add comments to each other, and you can geotag. What does that mean? Geotag means that you can, it'll mark the location for you. A lot of times you don't want to do that, especially if your learners are young or they're 13, and you definitely don't want to. But sometimes if you're teaching science, that can be very helpful, because when you're teaching science and you're doing an observation or you're doing a long-term experiment or field observation or research, then you want to be able to have that location where, let's say you're studying habitats and you're studying an animal on a regular basis, or a plant or a spider or bugs or a species, then you want to be able to map out that location. What you can do is set up a class account. That's what I would recommend. And this is my Valentine, my partner. He'll be here later on today. But he's Jake Duncan, and he teaches 178 sixth graders. And so what he decided to do was he teaches world cultures, and he also teaches in a bilingual program. So he teaches in Spanish and in English. So he made his Instagram account. It's a class account. And what he does with it is he shares a lot of the student work. A lot of the parents follow it and communicate with him this way. I was very impressed because we went to Washington, D.C. For my BAMI award for EdChat. And when we were there, he was missing school. He had to miss the Friday. And he was taking pictures of different things like deltas from the plane, and then he would mark the vocabulary. And the parents would write to him and say, "Oh, my son loves you." And I was so surprised by that, because well, that's a good question, Peggy. I didn't put his class account because it's a class account, and it's to protect the kids and stuff like that. So that's why I didn't put it up there. But one of the things about Instagram as well is a lot of parents will communicate, and it gives you transparency. And that's what he mainly uses it for. He posts pictures every day of students' projects and what they're doing in the classroom. He uses a lot of technology. So your parents are really weary about technology, then Instagram could be a way to invite them into your classroom so they can see the learning that you're doing. You can see my last picture with my mom. And then, of course, I have lots of pictures of Roscoe. You can edit your profile. You can do this on the browser. So you can access it on the browser, but you can't upload pictures or do much else. It is meant to be used on a mobile device. And it could be on your iPad. It could be in your iPad mini. It could be, I think, even Windows 8 or BlackBerry. Your Kindle Fire, you can have an Instagram. It's pretty much connected to everything. And when you do it, you can write your profile. When you write your profile, you can also include a link. And this is what it looks like on the mobile app itself. So you can click on these features and you can see your own stream. You can see where you're tagged by others. Here would be a map. You can edit your profile. Here you can put, for example, I put my name. And then you can put where your email is that you want this sent to you. It could be a class account. Your username. So when you're doing a username, I think I'm going to focus that. Sorry. Let me go ahead and focus that. When you do a username, one of the things you can do with the username is you can mark it for the individual classes. So you teach several classes. Then here, for example, I put AP Bio 2014. And then in the description or the bio, you can put class account for Ms. Terrell, biology AP students. So this is just an example. So this is a way they can easily follow it as well. So whatever acronym you usually use for your class, you can use it for that as well. And then you click submit, and there you go. Voila. You can even put your class website that is connected to you. So if you have a Wix or you have a wiki or you have a blog, you can add that as well. Okay, let's go to the next slide. You can make the account private so that only parents and students see it. This is one of the things that Jake has done with his classes. Yes, and Peggy, that's a good question. Peggy wants to know, are you saying to create multiple class accounts for different classes? Yes, I am. One of the reasons why I'm saying that is because if you have 40 or 50 kids, I mean, you could, if you teach the same subject, then you could get them all together. But I think it might be overwhelming. Like with Jake, he teaches 178 students. So for him, I wouldn't recommend that because that's quite a lot. And also, one of the things you're going to be doing on your Instagram account, the teachers are already doing, are they're taking screenshots of the homework and they'll post a picture of that on Instagram. So unless all the classes are the same, you wouldn't be able to do things like that. So I recommend a different one as well. Mine currently is private. It wasn't. It was public before. If it's private, that means that parents and your students you have to approve them first in order to see things. And that can protect privacy because you can make sure your photos and stuff like that aren't just going to be reposted by strangers and stuff like that. Because when you're working with kids and your parents only gave you certain permissions, then you want to make sure that those aren't violated, because then you're not going to be able to use tech in the class anymore. So I think it's very important that we make sure that we protect them. You can create a hashtag. It works a lot like Twitter and Facebook and Google+, if you're familiar with those. All the pictures and videos will be created under one hashtag. Now notice here, this is very important. Do I recommend you make a hashtag? So let's say, okay, it might be easier if you said instead you had a biology account, and instead you did a hashtag and it was biology, AP biology, period 3. That might be easier to collect everything. There's a reason why I'm saying that it's not recommended, because anyone can post on a hashtag. And lately what I've noticed is that there's a lot of really disgusting things sometimes. So now they're spamming it. There's people that are putting really bad stuff, and it looks like they're focusing on education accounts. So that is why I would not suggest having a hashtag, because you can't moderate that. And I've already seen Edugram, Edscape, ISTE, a lot of them are putting really gross, disgusting things on there. So we didn't recommend a hashtag at all. But you can look at things like Edu, over there it was, which one was it again? Okay. It was Edugram. Okay, so that's one of the famous ones that is a popular hashtag for teachers in general. Now let's talk about working with images, and I'll give you some classroom ideas as well. So you can do many different types of tasks. You can explore vocabulary, theories, and concepts. You can do any type of subject. That's what's really wonderful about images, and having them be able to focus on the image and understand. And that's one of the brain-friendly ideas that we can do with our students to help our students. So for example, if they don't really understand the Pythagorean theorem, or they don't understand, for example, Darwinism, or whatever you're teaching, then you can add a picture, and they say a picture explains like 1,000 words. And that's really true. So a lot of times our students, they can't conceptualize something. They look at something and it's too difficult. It's words and they don't understand. But if you put an image, all of a sudden they know the context, and they're able to make connections there. And then after they have that knowledge in the context, then they're able to understand the vocabulary, or the theories or the concepts. So one of the most famous or most popular things that teachers are doing with Instagram is posting homework and assignments. And I will give you some ideas on how to get your students really active and posting on your Instagram account. You can put pre-tasks to think about the topic. So that's how I recommend using it a lot. I recommend this with Flickr as well. So every single theme or unit that you study, before you can have it to where every month it's the same activity. And the activity is that they have to take pictures of that unit, something that represents that unit. So whether you're teaching something like, I teach ESL, I teach English, well, EFL, English is foreign language. And so I want them to know vocabulary. We usually have themes like restaurants, or we'll have themes like animals, and it's the same kind of themes. So before that lesson starts, they know they have to go and they have to take pictures, and then they can send it to me so I can post on the Instagram. The great thing about Instagram is you add text as well, so they can explain. It's sort of like a mini blog, because you can add more than what's on Twitter, but you don't have this really lengthy type of blog post. If you want your students to reflect, getting them to do things on Instagram versus now in your blog, you can embed, but trust me, they'll do it a lot more and they'll be more engaged if they actually work with Instagram, because it's for teens and for young learners as well, even adolescents and even adults. Instagram is one of the most popular social networks that they like. It can help them make real-world connections because they're taking pictures of their surroundings. So a lot of times they can connect that learning with something that's around them, and then it's meaningful for them. You can showcase student work, you can engage parents, and you can even capture class memories. In the end, I'm going to show you a place where you can have a video, and it'll highlight your moments. So that's something really special that you can do with students. At the end of the year, they have this little video of all the memories in your class, and they will absolutely love that. So here's my model for today, Roscoe. I take a lot of Instagram pictures of him. One of the things I really like about Instagram is it does the rule of thirds. Have any of you heard of using the rule of thirds when you take a picture or a photograph, or even when you record video? Well, Instagram, Instagram has that built. So what the rule of thirds means is it means focus on, you get a grid, and you're supposed to, your object or whatever it is, you're supposed to focus it. So that way you can take a better picture. It's more about balancing. When you're working with Instagram, you have a few options. So here's the picture option, and here's the video option. So you can choose which one you want to do. This is what the filters look like. You have normal, Amarillo, Mayflower. And the great thing is for your 15-second video, you also have these filters. So it's very, very cool. You can automatically kind of fix it with this little camera. You can turn it around. You can rotate it. So that's pretty nice. You can do it with your video as well. And you can blur it. When you're taking pictures, or even if you're taking a video, you can always go access your library and take something from there as well. And here's some other options as well. Now they have a different feature. What you can do is you can, well, there's other features as well. So there you have two options when you want to share it. You post it as, so you see my picture there, and then I have a caption that I can type, and it goes along with my picture. You can either share this with followers or in a direct message. And this is very important because this is how you're going to get your students to turn in their assignments now for your class account. Another thing that you can do, you can tag students so that way the parent knows, oh, I really love Kaylee's a diorama today, and then you can have a picture of that. Oh, I really like Justin's argument during our debate today. So there are different things that you can do. You can take pictures of it and then share it, and your parents will really appreciate it. when I use technology and I do things like this, I used to be really afraid of parents. But I realized that even with my 4 to 6-year-olds, the parents come up to me after and they say, wow, you know, we really think that you're such a great teacher and you really care for our students because we can see all the pictures you post up and the kind of work that you do. When you have things like Instagram, you take pictures of the projects and stuff, that also makes you more marketable when you go to, if you choose to change schools, because you can show your experience working with technology. When they're turning in their photo or video assignments, they can do it directly to you. So they have the option, they click on share to direct, and it goes straight to your inbox. The great thing about it is that kind of acts as one place. Everybody can turn in their assignments. So everything is in that one place, and you can just look at it really fast. And then we have Roscoe here again. When you post a photo, this is kind of what he's. The funny thing is, if you look at him, he's kind of doing the same thing. He's just a lazy dog. He's always being lazy. So one of the things that you can do, sorry about that, is when you post it, you can like it, so it's a little bit like Facebook that way. You can add different types. People will add their different responses. And that's one of the great things about it, because you can have live discussions. You can have students debate back and forth. So they can really discuss the topic that, depending on the photo or the video that you put. Another thing that you can do is you can add these hashtags. And that hashtag, as soon as you put a number sign, and you can't have any spaces. So for example, let's say you're working with EdChat, right? EdChat DE. Okay. You can't EdChat space DE. You have to just put EdChat DE, and then it'll go there. So make sure you don't have any spaces there. Excuse me there. So now they also have a new feature called Map of Locations. Now, I haven't used this feature because I don't like to necessarily geolocate. And Peggy asked me earlier, why is my Instagram private? Sorry, I'm sick. But one of the reasons why is because I have a cyber stalker and a cyber bully. So I had to make my Instagram private. And one of the things I decided not to do is to no longer share my my location so much at different places. If I'm at a conference, then, you know, that happens. But that's why I don't use the map feature. Now, I used to teach science to students, and we used to do things like we'd go, in Texas, we have a lot of fossils. So we'd go to different places, and we would actually pick up and learn about fossils. We'd even take paleontologists. And sometimes we would also take out, we would collect acid rain. We would sometimes take samples from the river water, and then we would observe the microorganisms in there. So with different types of field observations like that, if I'm working with a science lesson, then definitely I want to map out the location, because that's what scientists do as well. That's what engineers do. And so this promotes STEM, science and technology, and education, engineering and math. So we can get them in the habit of doing this type of field research, and I want it to be authentic. You can have other things that connect with Instagram, so you can have much, much more with Instagram. So you can make actual collages. One of the free, by the way, these are all free apps. Once again, I don't like to work with things that are not free. So you can create collages with Pick Collage, and the great thing about Instagram and Pick Collage is they're available on Android. They're available also on your iPads, okay, or your iPhone. They're also probably like on a Windows 8, a BlackBerry. So these are options that work in a BYOT. So if students are bringing their own device and taking pictures, then it will work with them. Now, if you have iOS, I have both. because I'm a trainer, so I have to work with all kinds of different types of devices. But I love iOS. I love the apps that are free because you can do so many cool things. So with Imagehack, you can make word clouds with your pictures. So you can have your students actually create word clouds. And there's 1,000 lessons you can just do with that. You can have them put poetry. You can have them create haikus with this. You can have them post a quote, a meme. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use Imagehack. And it's super cool and really easy to do. The other one that's really incredible is UDoodle. UDoodle adds stickers, frames, filters. You can even draw in this app. And then what you do is you just send it to Instagram. So if you use some of these other apps and you incorporate it with Instagram, then it'll still go to the account. And that's the most important part. You can have filters, just so much. So let's get to the ideas. One of the ideas is to have weekly themed photos. So I'm giving you 3 examples here. If you teach English as a second language, which I do, first the topic is hobbies. Post a picture of one of your favorite hobbies. Describe why you enjoy it. So here, Felipe, which is Cecilia Lamos' son in Brazil, he loves soccer. This is his favorite thing. So I get them to do digital stories, or I get them, they can even do video. I'm not very picky about it. And it's really short. It's only 15 seconds, which is awesome. So here's, and then they write, after they post the picture, they write in the caption, reflection, or describe what it is. Another thing they can do is, here's another idea, the periodic table of elements. Find 5 examples of different elements around your house. So for example, a soda, maybe they can see what this is, you know, what are the chemical elements involved in a soda, or baking soda, or salt. And then the last one is for math. So math, fractions, find an example of a fraction. So for example, if I ate half my pizza, and then if something is, they create a word problem. So they don't just add text. What they actually would do in this case, they add a word problem that is inspired by that image and uses that fraction. So if they're putting in a pizza, then they have to make a word problem of the pizza. And if 1/3 of it was eaten, then that's what they have to do. Collage activities. There's so many things you can do with collages. You can have them take several pictures of an animal in its habitat and describe what they observe. They can do this for insects. They can do this for any plants. If they're observing plants every single day, they can do something like this as well. They can take several pictures of a science experiment. So if you have them do an experiment at home, which is something that my nephew's favorite teacher does, every day they have to go home, and that's their homework, is they get to do things like make a volcano erupt, or they get to do all these really cool experiments. So if you're having them do something like that, they can take pictures of the different steps. And then you can see that they understand the process and they walk through the process. So they can tell you. You can see where they made their hypothesis, where they did their observations, and what transferred or what was there. And that's, you can put it all in the collage. That's the great thing about it. You can take pictures of sections of an object and then just gather them about like a puzzle. So what you would do is you would take close-ups of it, and then in class they give it to a peer, and then they have to guess. The peer has to guess. They have to kind of like use their critical thinking and observation skills and try to figure out what that object could be. You can also have them describe an event. This is photojournalism, basically, that they observe in a series of pictures. So, for example, if you observe something with like a fire or somebody getting really upset, the other day Jake observed two people getting angry with each other in the middle of the highway. And not that they should be taking pictures of people, but they might observe something like, for example, we were hiking and we saw a family of armadillos and they were walking. And so they could take a series of that and then they describe what's happening. When they post a collage, you could post a collage. So you could post a collage. I have one of Roscoe, of course. I have actually several of Roscoe. Then your students can respond instead of doing just a comment. They can create a 6-word story about it. They can create a 10-word story about it. They could write a tweet about it and then tweet it out, inspired by your collage. They could write a haiku. So there's different things they can do with that. You can post an image that you like, that you took a picture of, and then have your students write poetry or based on that. Even a joke. They could write a joke inspired by your picture. So there's so many different things you can do. Post a collage. You can post a collage of images and facts about a place. So if you're doing mystery Skypes or mystery Hangouts, so let's say, for example, let's say that's become very popular. What's happening is now a lot of schools now, sorry, my thing is, a lot of schools right now are meeting each other on Skype or on Google. And what happens is the students, part of that is they have to guess. They give them all these clues. So let's say it's going to be in Hawaii and you're in Texas. And you're going to be with students in Hawaii, then what happens is that your students have different types of clues that the other class gave them, and they have to figure it out, like, oh, we eat this kind of food or that. Well, if you have Instagram, you just put a bunch of images that describe that, like maybe part of a grass skirt or maybe one of the different types of beaches. And there's so many things you can put, and then the students have to guess, and then they have to find another fact. Now, if you're just teaching them about countries, you can take lots of pictures of any country, of food and all of that, put in a collage, and then the students say, oh, that's Spain, because they saw flamenco dancing, they saw tapas, and then they have to go and they have to add that fact. Oh, this is what I know about Spain. The next thing that you can do is you can have them solve a mystery. So if you work with like forensic science and things like that, but not even that, you can create a mystery. And then each week, depending how long you want them to solve the mystery, each week or day you can post a new clue. And then they can put the pieces together and solve the mystery. Another thing you can do is you can post an image or word cloud with the different apps that I showed you earlier, Imagehack, about the upcoming topic. So when you post the word cloud, each student can take the words from that and they post a question to research. So if your next topic is about animals, amphibians, well, let's say amphibians, okay, and they see all these different types, then they have to write a question, and when they get to that topic, then they have to look within the text to find the answer to that question. And if they don't find it there, then you can tell them the next step would be they can go to search online and look for the answer. You can use Instagram to post writing prompts. So you put an image up there. You can put a comic that you just did, or you can just put a different type of image on there. And then the students write, and they can write on paper, or here, you know, they're writing with paper there, they're using their mobiles right there. So if you don't have the technology, it's okay. One person can have the phone. You can do this as group work or pair work, and then they can write a story together. One of the things about, okay, so they can recreate a scene from the chapter. Did I do this right? Yeah. Okay. So that's something that they can do. So there's a lot of video. Remember, you can post video as well with Instagram, because you can do a 15-second video that your students can role play. They can recreate a scene from the chapter, and they can work together to do this. Another thing is you can send them on scavenger hunts as well. So when they're being sent on scavenger hunts, you can post the different clues and stuff, and then they have to go and they have to, oh, that's terrible, Sarah. I'm so sorry they blocked this Instagram. They can create chain stories. So with the comment part of Instagram, you can post a picture, and I've done this with Padlet. I did one of Roscoe, and we had a mystery, and I started it. And then each person who comments has to follow the previous comment to keep that chain story going until the last student gets there. And it's a fun way to create and develop a story and use the context clues from the previous person. You can make 15-second movies with Instagram. It's a little difficult. I'm going to show you. One of the reasons it comes out really nice. There's a bit of a trick. So a lot of these apps, sometimes they're free, but they don't make it easy for one person to take a self video if you're going to take a selfie. And when I use Instagram video, I give 15-second tips. And it is very short. I have to practice. Sometimes I have to redo it 10 times because it's just very fast. But you learn how to summarize things. You learn how to pick out the main point of anything and say, this is the main point that I teach you. You can classroom this way. You can have 15-second interesting tips or facts about your subject or your content. Did you know amphibians, the largest amphibian in the world is? I don't really know, but okay, so this is my Instagram, and I'm going to click that middle button like I showed you earlier, and then there are my options. Okay, so I'm going to take a video. Here's the problem. So I want to let you know about this. You can't just click record and then later take the record off. You have to keep pressing the record button or else it stops it and pauses it. So that's interesting to know. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of the great things about this 15-second video, you might say, wow, 15 seconds is really short. You can add all these filters that make it look really cool. So you can see that picture, that video right there. One of the great things about the 15-second videos is you can edit them. So you can cut out parts. You can decide to use some. So that's why they have, if your finger gets, okay, so I'm recording right now. If my fingers, look, gets off, that blue line is what's recording. Sorry. I didn't have the thing open. But when you have if you stop, then what it means is there's a reason behind it. It would be so much easier to just be able to go with 50 seconds. But the reason for that is that way you pause, and that way you can maximize the most of your 15 seconds. So if you're going to take 15 seconds of this event, then you can actually pause it and then take another section of this event. So that's why it's kind of a cool feature. You can trim and crop it. So you can trim and crop your video. You can also put the filters. You can select what kind of cover you want. It gives you lots of cover ideas as well for your video. So what can you do with this? You can have two students get together and act out a scene. It's going to be a very short scene. You can have one student go and act out a scene. You can do a video commentary relating to the subject or reading. So each day you can have the questions from the book. Instead, have them answer it through Instagram. They're going to have more. They're going to have a better time doing it. It's going to be more engaging, and they'll actually probably go and do it because they're doing it on Instagram. You can have them do book trailers, which is an idea I got from Larry Filazzo, and he has different ones on his website. So I added a tiny URL, a bit.ly for it, which is bit.ly Instagram trailers. So it's pretty easy. And you can see examples of students doing this. You can role play a character to introduce them to the topic. So you actually would go and you dress up, and then you come out and you give them a 15-second video as Abraham Lincoln or as Mr. Darcy. You get to be the whatever they're studying. For younger kids, or not younger kids, but it could be very interesting for different types of students to be able to see this role play. Another way, and they're sure to see it because you know they're going to see a 15-second, or if you do the bind, they're going to see what they're going to want to know what their teacher is dressed up as next. So it's definitely something they'll do. So we're going to wrap up. There are other tools you can use with Instagram. One of the ones that I use is Statigram. And Statigram takes different moments of Instagram, your most popular moments. You can see me with Lil Ross. And what they do is they put in this really cool video. So that's something that you can do with Instagram. It also gives you stats. And you might say, well, why would I want to know stats? Well, if you're using it with your students, you can see what kind of posts are more popular with students, how you can see the number of likes, and then that will help you to gear what kind of activities that you continue to use that students are going to be motivated to complete on Instagram. So you can find all my resources if you go to a lot of but yeah, it just makes it more exciting because then you can see what they really are not drawn into. And then you just wouldn't use it in your Instagram account again. And so there's the bit.ly address. You can get a certificate. And thank you, Peggy, for providing the Instagram links. And you will also find the slides there. You can download it. You can have the PDF. You can share it with your staff. We have over 150 presentations. And so you can check them out. Just go to shellytarot.com, resources/webinars. Or you can do the bit.ly link that they put inside the questions. If you go to your the top of the right-hand corner, there's a bunch of lines on the chat box. You should be able to click it, and it has like where you can email the chat to yourself. So if you want to keep the links that Peggy shares a lot of the links that I present, then you can have these. And a lot of you share links as well. So if you want to have that option, you can always email that to you. Before we go, I'm going to have Roscoe once again say Happy Valentine's and give you back your virtual Valentine there. Say bye to everybody, Ross. Have a great Valentine's Day, and thank you so much for attending. Yes, my little puppy.